And I don't know the people. No, it doesn't laugh.
She just used her in a sentence, and this is her response. What would happen if you imagine that if you touch her paper?
You should tell her to go.
Okay. Oh, are we online? Yes, live stream. The microphone is on. That's good. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we will continue our discussion on Surah An-Najm. And last 2 weeks, we started, like we finished the first 5 ayahs. And who wants to summarize with a few sentences? We don't have much time anyway. So what we discussed last a few weeks. We talked about the revelation, we talked about the prophethood, we talked about how they relate to each other and so on, right? And I think we did stop where we said, Allamahu shadidul quwwa. And then, inshallah, we will continue from there today, starting from 5 up until maybe 12. So I'm planning to study the 10, 11, 12, maybe next week as a group. But let's see, maybe we can touch upon that today as well. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم علمه شديد القوى ذو مرة فاستوى وهو بالأفق الأعلى ثم دنا فتدلى فكان قاب قوسين أو أدنى فأوحى إلى عبده ما أوحى ما كذب الفؤاد ما كذب الفؤاد ما رأى أفتمارونه على ما يرى. Taught to him by one intense in strength, with intense power, intense strength, Quwwa, possessor of absolute authority. So the Dhu Miratin, there are different translations there, of course. And for Fastawa, we will discuss this. There are a few options, the chosen by different mufassir, different translators, narrators. And as I mentioned in the first 2 weeks, the scholars that I am following, they are mainly following the narrations from Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhu. So for Fastawa, some translator chose, the Mufassir chose to translate it as he rose to true form, or he rose up upright. This is, I guess, the literal translation, rising upright, or also, the encompassing things, like giving no kind of like a gap, and or stood firmly. This is another option. While he was in the higher part of the horizon, or higher horizon, Ufqul Ala, Ufqil Ala, the higher, or highest, Al-Ala, so highest horizon, right? then drew near and came close or came down. This fadalla, fatadalla, it's came close, or at the same time, like when you lean downward, like this is also fatadalla. And was at a distance of 2 bow lengths or nearer. You probably heard this a lot. قاب قوسين. The 2 bow lengths. We will discuss this a little bit. Adna, or nearer. And he revealed to his abd what he revealed. The heart didn't lie what it saw. So will you dispute with him over what he sees? And last a few weeks, we've been asking some questions about what we heard about this ayah, the surah before. And Abir, would you like to remind us, what is the traditional understanding of these ayahs, what they are talking about in general?
About what we talked about last week?
Last week, the week before, but we also touched upon how many mufassir take these ayahs and relate it to some certain events.
It seems to be about the Mi'raj.
Some people say it's about Miraj, some others says it's the encounter between the Prophet and the angel Jibril. The ones who says it's about the Miraj, because it's talking about, it's being a final horizon, getting very close, getting closer, nearer, and so on and so forth. The certain Mufassir take it as depicting Miraj. We said there are some historical difficulties there because the revelation, the dates of these ayahs goes to roughly the 5th year of the prophethood, but the Miraj happened at the 10th year. So probably they were thinking that these specific ayahs of the surah, maybe most of the surah was revealed in 5th year, but these ayahs were revealed later, maybe. So they would know better than me, so I'm not questioning that part. But there are some difficulties there. So about Miraj, some others says, no, it's not specifically about Miraj, it's just an encounter between Prophet and the angel Jibril. It could be about Miraj, it could be about the Jibril showing himself in its true form after this the period of no revelation. After the period of no revelation, Prophet gets, sad and so on, and then Jibril shows himself in its true form. There are such narrations as well. So some Mufassir linking these ayahs to that events as well, without denying any of these possibilities. We were following some other scholars taking this the ayahs relating to a generic understanding of how the revelation works, or how revelation relates to Prophet and then relates to us and so on. Okay? But we see all this symbolism there, right? In this, specifically in this the surah, the symbolism is there in Quran in general, but with such surahs, we see all these symbolisms a lot. And like from beginning to end, like from 5 to even up until 11, there are all these symbolism. So I couldn't help myself and ask this question. I think this is very important. Like, we should understand this. Why all this symbolism? Why we see that? And as we discussed, when we take this symbolism in different ways, we can read it as, when we can read it as the fa'il here, the doer. It could relate to the angel Jibril, it could relate to God, and then different symbolism emerges with different readings, right? So I'd like to discuss this a little bit. And I didn't, follow the previous formats where we just put the questions and the related to ayahs, the associated ayahs, because as a whole, it makes sense. So I wanted to keep here at a whole, hence this new formatting. Doesn't matter. So let's start from there. Why all these symbols? And what happens when we read symbolism in one way or another? Again, within the, let's say, constraints of all different narrations, all these scholarly works and so on. Hence, I chose only two, let's say, the options here. When all these things that coming to near or having this, the intense power and so on, referring to Angel Jibril maybe, or maybe referring to God. I didn't put other options there, just to be, consistent with these scholarly works. So how things would change when we read it one way or another, I wanted to touch upon that before going into deeper. But before that, what do you think about the symbolism in general? Any ideas? Why symbolism in Quran? Why is not just clearly giving me one, the one meaning? Oh, by the way, I'm talking about this or that. Why not?
That would constrain the meaning to one particular thing, whereas leaving it open
Alhamdulillah.
allows it to.
I will repeat it for online participants. We don't have the microphone, right? Yeah. So it would constrain if we had very clear, let's say, the target in the meaning, or so I'm talking about this person, or I'm talking about this event, I'm talking about such a meaning. It would constrain the meaning, and it will be really hard to apply it to every other people, right, or every other context. We see the same thing with prophets' narrations as well. Like we don't see much narration from prophet giving us a specific meaning of a specific ayah. We don't have such narrations for some strange reason. Like this Sahaba, they were very eager to narrate everything, every single detail, even about the the customs of how to use restroom, to that the extent. But when it comes to the understanding Quran, we have some generic methodologies from the Sahaba, or maybe generic referral like with Shadidul Quwwa, it's probably talking about God, for instance, Ibn Abbas says, but nothing more. So one possible explanation, again, not constraining the understanding. Any other ideas? Okay, for the sake of time, I will just go quickly. So another possibility is that, again, very similar to not constraining it, but making it applicable to different contexts as well, but at the same time, being applicable to different levels of understanding as well. Just like, the kids' stories. With kids' stories, you use some symbols, like the monsters, the princess, the magic, whatever. Or a rabbit talking to another rabbit and so on and so forth. There's a symbolism there, right? So the idea is not to teach a kid that the rabbits can talk. That's not the idea. The idea is giving them a message in a language that they can understand, they can relate to. Okay? So by using these symbols or by using some different metaphors and so on and so forth, you enable that. You give a story, and you, by this story, the readers at different levels can get whatever they can extract out of it, depending on their horizon. We will touch upon that. Depending on what horizon you are, you can get a different meaning out of the revelation using these symbols. I'm just waiting for a few seconds so that you can, comment, ask questions. Otherwise, I will continue again for the sake of time. Okay, let's go with the second question, how we understand it when all these things refer to angel Jibril versus God. Some professors would say when it's talk about the Shadid al-Quwa or Summa Dana wa Fatadalla, it is angel Jibril getting closer. Or angel Jibril, the leaning down. Or when it talks about Fastawa, it's some even go, to the extent saying, depicting an angel with wings, huge wings, spanning the entire the sky. And it is angel Jibril that's on the final, the highest horizon, showing himself in its true form for some reason with wings, according to this, the narrations, with huge wings spanning the entire sky, and the prophet being, interacting with him. This is one symbolism. The other one, again, the Shadid al-Quwa refers to God, and it is the prophet, he is on the highest horizon. And what is coming down, coming near is God and the revelation. So these are two different options from the narrations. Okay? We will, of course, study how it refers to us as well, but I just want to give you the background first. So when we read it as angel Jibril, so we have to keep in mind, even this, the translations, or let's say tafsir, even if they are relying on true sources, like when they talk about huge wings, angel with a huge wings, let's assume they are relying on true narrations from the prophet. Okay, so I think the best thing we can do when we encounter such strange, quote unquote, interpretations, I think the best thing we can do, we should do, is let's assume it is true. And then we have to ask ourselves, what is the prophetic mission? Is it telling the stories to people? Depicting, the creatures to them? Oh, by the way, the true form of the angel Jibril is having such a wing and so on and so forth. Is that the prophetic mission? Or is the prophetic mission explaining things to them in a way they would understand, so that they will extract some meaning out of it? And assuming that the second one is the prophetic mission, I would say, even if this is a true narration from the prophet, I would say, okay, that must be a symbolic explanation. Okay? So all these wings and spanning the entire horizon, the sky, must mean something. Of course, that goes back to discussions we had a little bit about the angels, what angels represent, what angel Jibril represent. If you are taking it as a creature, that we are already on the wrong path, right? Because our job here, when we try to understand revelation, like I'm just repeating this because we already discussed this, so I'm not getting in deep, but our job is not to get a literal reading of Quran or even the prophetic narrations, but to get something out of it, to get a guidance, right? This is our job here. So how am I going to benefit to knowing that how tall angel Jibril is, or how many wings he has, how big these wings are, how this is a guidance for me. So if Prophet said something like that, he must mean something that I can benefit. I can get guidance. And again, for the sake of time, I will just give you one possible interpretation of it. Angel Jibril, as we know, refers to the, the one thing is the carrier of the revelation. As it applies to us, the carrier of all the meanings that we get out of the entire universe. The angel Jibril encompasses the whole sky, meaning it's the, what is the phrase? Something sum, total sum, let's say, total sum of the entire universe that we interact. Okay? So as we interact with the universe, as we ask questions about ourselves, about our creator, we realize that the universe is giving us some answers. Oh, by the way, the creator of myself, like the laptop says, is an engineer. The tree says, my creator is the one who creates the entire universe. Right? We start getting these messages as we ask questions, as we the step from one horizon to another horizon. Okay? As we climb the ladders of this contemplation, universe start talking to us. Okay? So when we reach to a level that we understand there must be a creator, and this creator must have the absolute power, absolute authority, as the ayah says, then when we reach our current highest horizon in our journey, then the universe starts talking to us. Yes, my creator is such a creator. The one who created you created the stars as well. So in his power, in his authority, there is no gap. It encompasses everything. Fastawa. This is what universe is telling me now. Okay? And so, yeah, this is one way of understanding it when it refers to angel Jibril. So let's stop here. Let's hear your responses, because I made a lot of jumps there. Like I had a very loaded understanding of what angels are, what it means to be in a horizon, and so on and so forth. So let's stop here for a moment. Let's see your response, your comments, questions, and then we can decide whether we study only this part this week or whether we continue. Any questions? There are some.
Oh, I just wanted to read that so I can read that.
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Thanks for seeing my face.
Again, there's a longer version of it that I'm prepared, but depending on the responses, I will choose to continue or get into deeper.
So when you say he brings his revelation period, and you say that's the universe, like he encompasses everything in that way, are you saying that it's not to be taken literally?
So there are different ways we can define this literally or symbolically and so on and so forth. So when it applies to prophet, okay, we say that the revelation was carried to him, and whatever the medium that carries the revelation to prophet, Quran calls it as angel Jibril or Ruhul Qudus. There's another Ruhul, there's one more phrase with the Ruh other than Qudus. But anyway, Quran gives him different names. says that, okay, this is what carries the revelation to prophet. So when we read it from the prophet's perspective, I take it as that much, because this is what I know. Quran tells me there was a revelation, it was revealed to prophet through Ruh al-Qudus or through angel Jibril. That much I know, and I take it as it is. Okay? You can call this as literal reading. Now, when I ask the question, how it applies to me, the same reading now becomes a symbolic reading, because there is no angel Jibril, as I can imagine, like interacting with me, taken literally, right? So I have to make sense of it, because Quran is talking to me. How am I going to read it now? Now you cannot take this ayah when it talks to you as, you know, a big creature with wings and so on talking to you, because there's no such thing, right? If you read it in this way, the Quran, you would say it doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. So how am I going to benefit from this ayah? How am I going to use the approach Prophet used and the Sahaba used to apply to myself? So that's the question. Yusuf, please.
So, to clarify, what are we trying to understand here? Are we trying to understand what Prophet saw as a windy creature? And or we are trying to relate to what he saw, because in verse 12 it says, will you dispute with him over what he sees? So is this what he sees referred to what Prophet saw and reported us, which is based on a report? And as you said, Prophet is also using a language with which we can relate to something. So where shall we read this from? So are we trying to make sense of literally, physically what Prophet saw? Or are we trying to make sense of what he told me, what Prophet told me, and what Creator told me is for me to relate to something? So should I focus more on what I can see? So which part are we now focusing on?
So definitely the second part. So what I can see, and how am I going to confirm? So what Prophet meant to, you know, mean when he narrated some stuff when it comes to these ayahs. So that's the question. At least to me, otherwise trying to question what he saw, what kind of creature it was, or did he really see a creature or not, this is just a speculation from my side, from my perspective. Like it's like, let's assume I go with one option. And I would ask, like, why do you go with this option? Oh, because this scholar said so. So what? Like, what is the benefit in it? You just choose one option over to the second option. But when it comes to how am I going to make sense of it? Why Quran is talking to me about all these things, and how Prophet narrated his own experience, how it makes sense to me. So that's the question. Let's start from the beginning. Okay, we will spend some time here. That's great. So let's, for instance, some Mufassir says these ayahs are talking about Miraj. Okay? Let's take it as Miraj, the Prophet coming and telling us an experience he had, which we call as Miraj or Isra. What is the purpose of such a narration? When Prophet says, oh, by the way, I've been through such and such experience, how we take it? Truth of what? I mean, yes, it's truth, but truth of what? That he really went from here to there and been through such and such and such, you know, the events. Is that the truth, or there's something else to me? So let's assume it's all about his journey and his journey only. So what? Like he went through from here to there, and it is true. So what is the benefit? What is the guidance for me? Why is he even sharing it to me? Saratu?
I mean, I guess I'm having a hard time, honestly, because like I can't figure out the lesson, even though like the idea is you wouldn't tell me something unless you think it's like relevant to me or that I'm will react in a certain manner or somehow like I need to hear it. So, but reading this, I'm grappling with like I don't know if I'm actually getting it. I'm rereading and I'm still not understanding what I'm supposed to get.
No, that's you are very right about that, because before trying to study these ayahs, I wanted to the study this generic thing about symbolism or about Miraj, why Prophet would narrate me something like that, and so on, and then we will spend more time on the ayahs. So that's the reason there's no clear link between these ayahs and what we are discussing right now. For now, so I'm making more like an introductory, the opening. I apologize for not being clear there. No, that's okay. So, go ahead.
I can ask a question. So, you put a lot of thoughts. Let me ask a few questions about them. So you first said ascension, and then angels, and then creator as a teacher. If we were to just take these three, so maybe what is ascension for human in the first place? How is it related to learning? Because God is teaching something, or angel is teaching something, but ascension and learning, what is that? And then maybe as a secondary question, what does an angel has to do with that? And also, what is an angel, practically speaking? Maybe this, I don't know if this would put things into perspective.
So, yeah, exactly. So I think we should spend some time on that part. Yeah. And so I will make one, the explanation, my idea, like the way, I was taught and so on. So when Prophet talks about ascension, Miraj, he tells us that there is such a thing that you can experience. Not necessarily the same way that he experienced, but there is such a thing that you can experience. Okay? Otherwise, he wouldn't mention it to me. Everything Prophet says is a guidance for me. Everything Quran says, it's a guidance for me that I can experience, that I can benefit. Not to show off some qualities of some people. Oh, do you know what? I was such a person who was able to do this and that. That's not the idea. When Quran talks about what happened to a prophet, it is to show us a possibility that humankind can achieve. It's a target for us. So that's the idea. Even with ascension. That's the reason Prophet says the salah, the namaz, the prayer of the believer is his, her miraj. He says, okay, this is the miraj I've been experiencing. I've been experiencing. Okay? It's a journey. That's why it's narrated as a journey in Quran as well. I am in a journey, so you should. That's the idea. And going back to what Yusuf said, the creator being the teacher. So the miraj or ascension is our journey of learning about him, learning about the creator, getting closer and closer to the creator. Okay? So I'm using these words so that all these things will make sense when we start studying. Getting closer to the Creator, or Creator getting closer to us, leaning down, right? Sending revelation in a way that we can understand to our level, to our degree, so leaning down. Sending the message to us, our degree. Okay? So that's the journey we all been through. We look at the creation. So let's start from the beginning. We look at the creation and we see things, they make sense. I mean, they look strange at first sight. I get born, and then I get older, and then I die. It's strange, but when I start studying it, trying to understanding, I say it makes sense. I look at a tree, and then I see an apple, and I eat the apple, it tastes good, and it satisfies my need. I say, there's a wisdom there, there's a purpose there. As I start contemplating, as I continue contemplating on these, right, I say there must be someone who's creating all these things, right? Now I'm in the journey of understanding. I start asking questions. What is the point of this? What is the meaning of this? What is the purpose of this, right? And then answers start coming to me through prophet, through revelation, but they are coming to me. Or sometimes through the creation itself. The creation tells me my maker is the one who creates the stars as well. So Apple tells me that whoever created me must be creating these stars as well. Right? These answers are coming to me now as I ask questions. So in my journey of asking questions, I travel from one horizon to another horizon. So horizon, what is horizon? Is the last thing that you can see, right? It's the target. It's there, but it's not there actually. When you reach it, you say, oh, it was not the end. Now there's another horizon, right? So as you travel in your journey of asking questions, who created me? Why he created me this way? Why I'm dying? Where am I going? As you go further, as you ascend, right, the answer starts coming to you. The answer starts getting closer to you. So this is what I understand from ascension and how it relates to me. As I start, getting these answers, and when I say, the answers that I cannot find in this creation must be revealed to me by the Creator. And then when I find the prophet, when I find the revelation, the book, the Quran, when I have a relationship with my Creator, which I call as worship, and I start practicing this worship physically as well, the prayer, right? It becomes my ascension, Miraj. I think.
To accept your interpretation of the multiple horizons, we have to negate the flat earth theory.
Jazakallah khairan for the contribution. Yes. Any questions so far? So when Prophet says, I've been through such a experience, ascension, you said it is truth, right? Now I know that it is true. Because I go through such an experience as well. Not in the same type, maybe same kind, let's say. His ascension was different than mine, but it's the same, the similar thing that I can experience. And I confirm that, yes, it happens. So I expect that someone like him, the prophet, He must have the ultimate journey. So when he says that, I say, yes, it must be telling truth. Now I can confirm. And it makes sense to me as well. It's a guidance to me as well. No?
Kind of.
Okay.
I'm just,
No,
you
no,
know,
no.
I'd just rather be careful about making interpretations. I mean, I'm not learned in how to do so. And I know a lot of people might have gone off doing the wrong thing, making their own interpretation on the Quran, so.
So yeah, that's the reason we always rely on, as a starting point, rely on the scholars. Yeah. All these interpretations are not my Birkan's interpretations. So there's a whole chapter about that, for instance, in Imam Nursi's book about the ascension and so on. And I'm trying to fit it into, I don't know, 15 minutes. Any other questions? So this ascension is just one example of this symbolism, right? So we hear the stories of the ascension in the symbolic language, and this is how we unpack it. Now we can apply the same thing here to these ayahs. Please.
So, it's a journey. Journey is happening in a location, and the location is
This universe,
the
yeah.
universe that I live in. So this is where the journey is happening. So is this journey happening like towards space, or what sort of a journey are you going through with them? I see that your beard is getting whiter, so it looks like you're going through life, and life is grinding you somehow. Let it be the job environment, let it be parental or spousal or children, all these sorts of relationships we are going through is a journey. And this is why they would say, well, tell me your journey. What have you been up to? So Prophet went through a journey. But what is the purpose of that journey? Is the point is just to live the life and die and rot? Or the journey is being done with a companion, and that companion down the road is, if I pay attention to, teaching me something. Like, am I alone in this journey, or am I having a companion in this journey? If I do have a companion in the journey that I can pay attention to, then I will learn something from that companion. So it looks like Jibreel alayhi salam had been a companion to the Messenger alayhi salam. Let's take the first revelation as the starting point. Beginning from that, he had Jibreel as a companion for himself for the rest of his life. Now we are trying to relate this to ourselves. Is Jibreel a companion to me? If he is, what do I learn from Jibreel when I am having a fight with my parents? Because this is something that I see in this journey, right? So in the journey of life, I had a fight with my parents, and now I would like to learn something out of that. Why did this happen? Out of the blue. It's hurtful. It rather not has happened. I would have liked it to happen in the first place, but it did happen. So what is the point? Is it just by chance? Or I would like to ask that question to someone who can tell me the meaning behind it, if there's a meaning. Otherwise, I would say it's nonsense. So Jibreel must be the thing, the being behind which would tell me the meaning behind things. But first, I need to be convinced that there must be a meaning behind things. If there must exist a meaning behind things, then I would start to find a way to ask proper questions to proper sources. So Prophet had this journey with someone, and that someone, as you are mentioning, had been like Prophet saw him on a horizon and then was being taught by that being. So this is what I should try to see in my life, is what I'm getting out of here. Where do I see this messenger in my life? How can I talk to Jibreel and Jibreel talk to me? if this is not going to make me an infidel.
So, yeah, let's not formulate it this way for the sake of not losing audience. But using your, the path. And we can start, discussing this now. It always goes back to this journey, right? In our life, we are in a journey. Some people would call it as the journey of life. Some people would call it as journey of contemplation and so on and so forth. But I prefer calling it the journey of Iman. Okay? All these things happen to me in life. And by questioning, by realizing that there must be a creator behind all this. And this creator must be the one with the ultimate absolute authority, with intense power. When I realize that, right? And when I unpack things in front of me, as Yusuf said, when I say that, oh, there must be meaning out of it. Let me see what is the meaning. And I ask the question, what is the meaning? Now I'm traveling from one horizon to another horizon. Okay? And when I reach to the highest horizon, which is the highest horizon of myself at this moment, as I said, when you travel, like when you go to the horizon, you realize, oh, it's not the end of the journey. There is another horizon now, right? So when we say the ufq al-a'la, it's the highest horizon. It's the highest horizon for the current state of my journey. So currently, this is my highest horizon. I say there must be such and such creator. Okay? Or I read the Quran and I get an understanding out of it. I say, this is my understanding. This is the highest horizon that I can reach. If somebody tells you that this is the meaning of the Quran, they are just kind of insulting Quran. This is the meaning that they can get at their, the journey at that moment. This is a meaning. Because there's always a new horizon. Okay? So when I travel these horizons, what happens? So as Yusuf pointed out, that I'm not left alone in this journey. And I can see that. Like when I have a question, there's an answer. When I sincerely ask a question, I find an answer. And this answer, sometimes through the creation, right? As we discussed this, and very short answer to what angel means and so on and so forth. We don't have time. But when I get this answer through the creation, I say that, oh, angel brought a meaning to me. Okay? A tree tells me my creator is such and such. The angel that relates to this tree, accompanying this tree, we say everything in creation has an accompanying angel, right? There's some narration says the angels, that rides the things. So everything in the creation has an angel, angelic side, carrying me the meaning. Okay? This is one source of the answers are revealed to me. Go ahead, please. No jokes. We don't have time.
The meaning is not gibberish. It's not like graffiti. You see a graffiti, it's like a word.
Okay.
But it's actual meaningful, it's a progressive somewhere. You can do something with them.
I didn't get it, sorry.
That's a question.
No, I really didn't get it. Did you get it?
I mean, like, you'll walk around, you'll see a word, it has a meaning, but it's graffiti. There's no purpose to it.
Okay, so the word meaning can mean different things. Okay. So what I mean here is when something means something to you, when it has
It talks to you.
it talks to you, okay, when it's a purpose. That's what I mean. Okay.
To give an example, let's say you initially didn't think that Atik is a conscious being, you just thought that Atik is a corpse, just like a flesh and bones, nothing in there. But then you were in the room and you were looking for something. You said, oh, where's my wallet? And then, oh, your wallet is here, somebody says, and you freak out. Oh, you thought you were alone in the room. Right now, this corpse start talking to you. So what is it? Is it the corpse talking to you? Or is it there is something more than the corpse here, which was talking to you? So that thing, which you know as spirit of Atik you call, was always there, but you were oblivious to it. You were not asking or consulting it. When properly asked, he replied back to you. And you're freaking out from that because you were thinking you were living in a different world. You didn't really think that such a thing exists, like human being, which you can communicate with exists. Likewise, a tree. We treat a tree as just as a corpse, doesn't have like unrelatable. I cannot talk or communicate with it. I can just abuse it by chopping it off and burning it as a fire, or stealing its fruit. So that is the distinction that we can relate to.
So that's, yeah, one way these answers are given to me, through the angels in the creation. Okay? Or, again, very similarly, sometimes the nature, and we have to stop here, the creation doesn't speak, doesn't give me answers. And I say, but there must be an answer, right? Whoever put me in this situation, the one with the shadid power, the intense power, the one with the mirror, the absolute authority, must give me an answer. And I find the revelation there. Again, carried by angel. I say, oh, was it carried by an angel to you? The prophet says yes. And I say, oh yeah, I can confirm that too. Because, you know, the angels in the creation speak to me as well. They carry the meaning as well. So there is difference between, you know, what I receive and what prophet receives. Don't get confused. And, you know, I'm saying that it's the same thing. I'm just saying that, oh, I have, you know, a type of it in my life as well.
Because
I can
be worried that by the end of this conversation, you will claim you're a prophet. So ease our worries.
I don't know what you mean.
I mean, our worry is that since you are claiming or insinuating that angels spoke to you, we are afraid that by the end of today's discussion, you will say that I am the last prophet. Because angels spoke to prophets only, is what we think. Is it okay or not?
So I see. I never thought it that way. So
I mean, this is why generally people are being worried when somebody says angels spoke to us as well, because our Sunday school education says angels talks to prophets. Jibril talks to prophet only. Jibril is the one who brings revelation and talks to prophets. But if I say no, angels carry meaning to everybody, to you and me, then this is being something that needs to be cracked open, I believe. Otherwise, it might be understood as you're about to declare your own prophethood soon.
okay, let's continue with this part next week, inshallah. We'll open it a little bit. But I thought we wouldn't touch upon any ayah, but anyway, we discussed a few of the ayahs. That was good. So let's continue from there, inshallah, next week. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين الفاتحة.